close your eyes. Picture the Amazon. What do you see right now? An endless ocean of green, thick canopies blocking out the sun, a pristine, untouched wilderness where nature rules and humans are just tiny, weak guests? We've always been taught that the Amazon is Earth's last wild green lung, a massive sanctuary untouched by human hands. But brace yourself, because I'm about to drop a truth bomb that will make you question every textbook you've ever read. It's all a lie. The Amazon isn't a wild wilderness. The Amazon is actually an abandoned garden, and it was never empty. Thousands of years ago, right where you think only monkeys and jaguars live, there existed a civilization that was dazzling and insanely crowded. The latest archaeological estimates show that in 1491, 1 year before Columbus set foot in the Americas, the Amazon was home to over 10 million people. Let me give you a comparison to show you how terrifyingly huge that number is. At that time, the populations of London and Paris combined couldn't even compare to a tiny corner of the Amazon. They didn't live in dinky little huts. They built massive geometric cities connected by superhighways 50 meters wide, wider than modern interstates. They terraformed the land, tamed the rivers, and turned this green hell into a man-made paradise. So the million-dollar question is, if they were so powerful, why did they vanish without a trace? Why, when we look from satellites today, do we only see a terrifyingly silent green expanse? Did the jungles swallow them whole? Or did something even scarier than nature wipe out this civilization in the blink of an eye? But wait, before we talk about humans, we need to talk about the real hell. Because long before the first humans set foot here, the Amazon was a playground for literal monsters. If you think today's jaguars and anacondas are scary, thank your lucky stars you weren't born here 10 million years ago. Back then, the Amazon wasn't a forest, it was a giant death trap, and the things ruling it were living nightmares. Let's rewind the clock to the Miocene epoch, about 13 million years ago. Forget that winding Amazon River you see on maps today. Back then, the Andes Mountains in the west were rising, blocking water from flowing into the Pacific. The result? The entire Amazon basin turned into a massive inland wetland, twice the size of the Mediterranean Sea. Scientists call it the Pebas Wetlands. This was not a place for the faint of heart. The water was murky, boiling hot, and teeming with life. But life here followed one insane rule: supersize everything. In Pebas, everything was bigger, meaner, and deadlier than anywhere else on Earth. And the uncrowned king of this swamp was a creature that makes today's anacondas look like shoelaces. Meet Titanoboa. The name says it all: Titanic boa. Imagine you're waiting for a bus. A 40-foot school bus pulls up. Now imagine a snake longer than that bus, with a body as thick as an oil drum, weighing over 1.2 tons. That's basically a Honda Civic crushing you. Titanoboa didn't kill with venom. It didn't need cheap tricks like that. It was pure physical dominance. When Titanoboa struck, it launched from the water like a coiled spring, latching onto prey with recurved teeth that made escape impossible. Then it wrapped around you. Do you know how much pressure it applied? Scientists estimate a constriction force of 400 psi. Let me translate that boring number into something terrifying. Being squeezed by a Titanoboa is exactly like lying on the pavement and having the entire Brooklyn Bridge collapse on your chest. Your bones don't just break, they are pulverized to dust. Your blood flow stops instantly. Your heart literally explodes. Death is fast, but agonizing. And then it swallows you whole, swallows an entire crocodile whole, without even chewing. Titanoboa was the apex predator, the absolute dictator of this cold-blooded world. For millions of years, the Pebas Wetlands were its private kingdom. But the Amazonian nature never lets a dictator rule for too long. Titanoboa had a rival. If Titanoboa was the underwater nightmare, then on land, another giant was roaring. A creature that when you hear its name, you usually think of slow, lazy, and cute. That's right, I'm talking about the sloth. But forget the tiny little fur balls clinging to branches and sleeping 20 hours a day that you see on TV. Their ancestor, the Megatherium, giant ground sloth, was a literal tank covered in fur. Megatherium was the size of an African elephant. When it stood on its hind legs to reach leaves, it towered 20 feet high, tall enough to peer straight into your second-story window. It weighed 4 tons and packed claws a foot long, sharp as daggers. Even though it was a vegetarian, don't let the diet fool you. In the prehistoric Amazon, vegetarian didn't mean gentle. Megatherium was one of the few animals that would stand its ground and literally slap the face off any predator that got too close. One swipe could crush the skull of a saber-toothed tiger. And the war in Pebas wasn't just between snakes and sloths. Beneath those murky waters lurked Purussaurus. This wasn't just a caiman, this was a dinosaur in a croc suit. Purussaurus was 40 feet long, matching the Titanoboa, but it came equipped with impenetrable armor and a bite force twice as strong as a T-Rex. If the T-Rex was the king of land dinos, Purussaurus was the bone crusher of the deep. Fossils show it regularly ambushed 4-ton ground sloths drinking by the river, dragging them into the depths in a fatal death roll. You see, the Amazon back then was a giant battle royale. There was no room for weakness. Every day was a war, every breath was a gamble. But then, something strange happened. About 7 million years ago, the Andes Mountains kept rising, shifting the flow of rivers. The water began to recede. The massive Pebas Wetlands slowly dried up. The ecosystem crashed. Giant monsters like Titanoboa and Purussaurus lost their habitat. They needed too much food, too much water to sustain those colossal bodies. They slowly died out. Their bodies sank into the mud, fossilized, becoming silent reminders of a glorious and terrifying era. The wetlands vanished, giving way to the modern Amazon River and the dense rainforest we know today. The monster edition of the Green Hell was over. But this is where the story gets juicier and scarier in a different way. When the giant monsters left, a new creature arrived. They were smaller, weaker, had no claws, no fins, no venom, but they had a weapon scarier than all the Titanoboas combined. They had a brain, and they didn't just want to live in the forest, they wanted to tame the forest. Welcome the arrival of humans. But wait, don't picture primitive people lost in the woods. Modern science has just uncovered a mind-blowing truth. Ancient Amazonians didn't live off the land. They were humanity's first master bioengineers. They achieved something even our modern agriculture struggles to learn, turning dead soil into black gold. Let me hit you with a harsh truth about farming. If you're a farmer and you see the world's lushest rainforest, you'd think, wow, the soil here must be incredibly fertile. Look at those huge trees. Wrong. That is nature's biggest scam. In reality, the natural soil of the Amazon rainforest is some of the worst on the planet. It's acidic, nutrient-poor, and basically sterile for crops. Why? The rain. Millions of years of tropical downpours have washed away all the valuable minerals. Scientists call it a wet desert. If you cut down the trees to plant corn, the land dies and turns to brick in just 2 or 3 years. So how on earth did 10 million people survive and eat well here for thousands of years? What did they eat? Air? The answer lies right beneath our feet. When archaeologists dug into the dry, yellow natural soil, they suddenly hit something weird. A layer of dark black earth up to 6 feet deep, smooth and smelling of life. They call it terra preta, Amazonian black earth. And here's the twist. This soil doesn't exist in nature. It's artificial. It's a technological invention. Picture this. While medieval Europeans were dumping trash in the streets and causing the plague, ancient Amazonians had developed a composting technology a millennium ahead of its time. They didn't slash and burn like we thought. They used a smoldering technique to create biochar. They mixed this charcoal with fish bones, broken pottery, organic waste, and billions of beneficial microbes. The result? They created an eternal nutrient battery. Terra preta isn't like chemical fertilizer, where you use it once and it's gone. Terra preta is a living organism. It acts like a coral reef on land, providing a home for bacteria and fungi. Do you know what the craziest part is? It regenerates itself. Local farmers today swear that if you harvest a layer of terra preta and leave it for 20 years, it will literally grow back. It's like a magical self-refilling buffet for farming. Thanks to this black gold, the Amazonians turned dead lands into super farms. And here is the final smoking gun that destroys the wild forest myth. Ecologists surveyed the tree species in the Amazon. If it were a natural forest, trees should be randomly distributed, right?
But no, useful trees for humans, like cacao, Brazil nuts, acai palms, dominate the forest in an overwhelmingly unnatural ratio, especially around terra preta sites. What does this mean? That endless jungle you're looking at is actually a colossal abandoned orchard. Every tree, every inch of soil here bears human fingerprints. We mistook a magnificent agricultural legacy for wild nature. Humans didn't just live in the forest, humans engineered this forest. But if they had surplus food and high-tech bioengineering, where did they live? Did they sleep under trees? No, they lived in cities. Cities that humanity spent 500 years searching for in vain. Cities that killed thousands of greedy explorers. It's time to talk about El Dorado. In 1541, Francisco de Orellana, a Spanish explorer, became the first person to navigate the entire length of the Amazon River from the source to the sea. When he returned, he told insane stories. He swore he saw glittering cities, stone-paved roads, bustling ports, and millions of warriors decked out in gold jewelry. Europe laughed in his face. They called him a delusional maniac. Why? Because when others went back decades later, they saw nothing, just trees, trees, and more trees. No golden cities, no palaces. Orellana was branded the biggest liar in history. For 5 centuries, the legend of El Dorado, the city of gold, seduced countless daredevils into the deep jungle, only for them to die of malaria, venomous snakes, and poison darts. But guess what? Orellana wasn't lying. We were just looking in the wrong place, and more importantly, we were looking the wrong way. The Amazon is too thick. You could be standing 15 feet away from a massive pyramid and not see it because of the vines. Human eyes are useless here. But the 21st century brought a new weapon, something that can strip the jungle naked without cutting down a single tree. It's called LIDAR, light detection and ranging. Imagine flying in a helicopter and firing billions of lasers down at the forest every second. These lasers pierce through the leaves, hit the ground, and bounce back, creating a 3D map of the Earth's surface accurate to the centimeter. It's basically an X-ray for the entire jungle. And when archaeologists fired up their computers to look at the LIDAR data from Bolivia and Brazil, their jaws hit the floor. The screen didn't show trees. The screen showed straight lines. Nature doesn't do straight lines. Rivers curve, mountains are jagged. Only humans make straight lines. Hidden beneath the green canopy were thousands of massive geometric shapes, squares, circles, hexagons, stretching for hundreds of miles. Those are geoglyphs. We found El Dorado, but it wasn't built of gold. It was built of earth. That's why we couldn't see them before. The Amazonians didn't build with stone like the Mayans or Egyptians because there are no stone quarries here. They were masters of earth-moving engineering. The LIDAR data revealed an urban network so complex, it's chilling. Artificial mounds as high as 5-story buildings to avoid floods, defensive moats 60 feet wide surrounding residential areas, And the craziest part? Superhighways. That's right, perfectly straight roads, 160 feet wide, connecting cities like a neural network. They are so straight that modern engineers would have to tip their hats to their surveying skills. These weren't isolated little tribes. This was a decentralized supercity, garden cities. They zoned their cities interspersed with farmland and forests. Thanks to terra preta, they dug massive canals to divert water and farm fish right inside the city limits. Oriana was right. He saw a thriving civilization. But why did it vanish so fast? Why did these earthen cities dissolve into nothingness, leaving Oriana with the reputation of a fraud for 500 years? The answer isn't guns or swords. The real killer was invisible, silent, and deadlier than any army. It hitched a ride on European ships, hiding in breath, in handshakes, in old blankets. It was germs.
Let's go back to the most haunting question. Why did Francisco de Orellana see millions of people in 1542, but just 50 years later, other explorers found only dead silence? Did Orellana lie? No. He witnessed the final moments of an empire. European ships didn't just carry guns and crosses, they carried tiny assassins that the natives hadn't encountered in 15,000 years. Smallpox, influenza, measles. To us today, the flu just means a few days in bed, but to the naive immune systems of the Amazonians, it was a biological nuclear bomb. It spread faster than wildfire. Germs traveled along the very superhighways and bustling trade networks they had built. Ironically, their advanced civilization became their death sentence. The estimated death rate was 95%. Picture this. For every 10 people you know, 9 dropped dead in a matter of weeks. Society collapsed instantly. No one left to farm, no one to lead, no one to bury the dead. That's why the explorers who came later saw nothing. They walked into a giant ghost town. And the cruelest part about the Amazon? It has zero mercy. Great Mayan or Roman cities were built of stone, so their ruins last for millennia. But the Amazonians built with earth and wood. In a place as wet and humid as this steam bath, if you stop maintaining earthen structures for just a few years, the jungle swallows everything. Roofs collapse, roots tear apart earthen walls, weeds choke the highways. In just 50 years, a blink of an eye in history, nature erased every trace of a civilization that had stood for a millennium. What remained was just the legend of El Dorado, twisting into a fairy tale to put kids to sleep, or a delirious dream that killed greedy men. Speaking of greedy men, we have to talk about Percy Fawcett. In the early 20th century, this legendary explorer went into the Amazon looking for what he called the lost city of Z. He believed a civilization was there. He was right, but he made a fatal mistake. He was looking for stone walls, for Greek-style columns. He literally walked on top of man-made dikes and slept right next to terra preta mounds without ever realizing that was City Z. Fawcett disappeared forever into the deep jungle, likely killed by tribes, the impoverished, displaced descendants of that collapsed civilization who had forgotten their own glorious past. That is the tragedy of Amazonian archaeology. We stood on the shoulders of giants, but we thought we were standing on a pile of weeds. We dismissed them as savages living in the woods, when in reality, they were master farmers who created the only soil on the planet that might save humanity in the future. But today, we aren't facing germs or oblivion. We are facing a new collapse. This time, it's not the civilization disappearing while the forest stays. This time, the forest is disappearing. Remember the image I gave you at the start? The green hell? Back then, it was hell because of monsters like Titanoboa. But today, humans have brought a new monster, more voracious and deadlier than any dinosaur. That monster is fire. Every year, thousands of square miles of Amazon forest are torched to clear land for soy and cattle. We are repeating the mistake, but in reverse. The ancients created black earth to grow trees. We are burning trees to create ash. Scientists warn of a tipping point. The Amazon generates 50% of its own rainfall. Trees suck water from the ground and breathe it out to create flying rivers in the sky. But if we cut down just 20% of the forest, that cycle breaks. At that point, the Amazon won't be a rainforest anymore. It will dry out and turn into a scorched savanna. Nothing can save it then. The green lung will turn into a cancerous lung, spewing billions of tons of carbon instead of absorbing it. But the loss isn't just about climate. When bulldozers flatten those mounds in Brazil, when fires consume the old growth, we aren't just killing trees, we're burning down the library of humanity. Beneath that soil lies terra preta, biotech secrets we still don't fully understand. Beneath those canopies are geoglyphs, proof of our ancestors' sustainable urban planning. The Amazon isn't a wilderness to be conquered. It is a heritage site. It is an ancient garden, a living museum, and a graveyard for millions of people who lived, loved, and built a world in harmony with nature, something that we, with all our iPhones and spaceships, still haven't figured out how to do. Next time you see news about a fire in the Amazon, don't just think about trees. Think about the Titanoboa, the earthen cities, and the humans who turned dead dirt into black gold. Don't let history repeat itself. Don't let the Amazon vanish and become just another myth like Atlantis, leaving the next generation to ask the bitter question, why did they let it die?